Guys, I honestly think they've been planning this whole thing since the original. I have found things and found connections to the original to what's happening now in Rebirth, and I am just blown away. Hi guys, it's me, Happy Cat, and welcome back to my channel. Now, I have had a week to digest Rebirth. I finished the game a week ago. The episode is up now if you want to see my real-time reaction. I'm trying to like piece everything together. It's like one giant puzzle piece. And I've even thought of things that I haven't seen anyone else talk about yet as well. So in this video, I'm just going to, instead of doing like a full review of like, I like this about the game, I like this about the game, I just want to go over my thoughts and my theories and opinions of what's happened, what I think is going to happen, and some like connections there are between remake and the OG as well. And I have spent days and hours going over things, taking notes. I have like a crazy amount of pieces of paper that I've just been like scribbling thoughts. Whenever I got a thought, scribbled it down. So I'm going to go through with all that today. And I feel like the best way for me to do this is just to go character by character. And don't worry, I'm not doing all the characters because I don't want this video to go on too long. But I'm just going to go over the key characters, and especially if I think there's an important thing with them to do with the story. And I'm going to start with Zack actually, because I haven't seen many people talk about Zack yet. Everyone seems to be talking about Aerith and Cloud and everything and Jenova, but I feel like we're forgetting Zack a little bit. So I want to start with Zack because Zack was the thing I was thinking about the most in my playthrough. And if you saw my last video, which was the ending, I do go over my theories a little bit about Zack because I feel like Zack has such an important role in this game, because I think it's safe to say that Aerith saved him during the timeline split. I think Aerith saved Cloud. Aerith saved Zack for a reason, and they keep bringing up this reason thing. Like Biggs keeps going on about there's a reason why I'm here. There's a reason why I'm here, and I think Zack is the reason. I think there's a reason why Zack is here. So I do think Zack is aware of the timelines. I don't think he knows about the timelines, or I don't think he knows for sure what's going on, but I think he's worked it out. I think he has worked out about the timelines. I think he's worked it out from Biggs talking about Cloud, how he met Cloud and how Cloud was a merc and he's done stuff, but obviously Zack knows that's not true. So, and I think Zack can see the rip in the sky. I think Zack has some idea what's going on. Zack also talks about how like fate has a cruel sense of humor, and why would he say that if it's only happened to him? Well, it hasn't even happened to him because nothing's happened to him yet. And I'm talking about this in context up until the point where the world starts splitting at the end. I think Zack has worked it out as the game's gone on. But of course, at the end, I think he knows for sure then, because he's being transported to different timelines and then he sees Cloud and gets to fight with Cloud. But he's kind of worked it out himself before that point, I think. I think he's pieced it together in his head like a little bit. So this is what I think has happened to Zack now. And I did explain this in my last video when I played it. I think Zack is in our timeline now, because in his timeline originally, well, like in his new timeline, the church was destroyed because you hear an explosion and Zack's going to investigate what it is, and you can hear people talking that it was the church. Someone had attacked the church, and obviously we know now that's Biggs, which means he has not been taken back to his timeline. He's somewhere else. And I'm pretty sure he's now in our timeline for a few reasons. A, Sephiroth said he combined the worlds. He said he was bringing the worlds together into one timeline, basically. I think that's what's happened. I think Sephiroth has combined the worlds, and he showed it. There's a clip here. Hopefully I can find it for you guys. There's a clip here where you can literally see him doing it. He is bringing the worlds together. I think that's clear as day. Like, he's literally showing Cloud that's what he's doing. And I think that's what's happened. He's brought the timelines together, and then Zack has ended up with us. And if that isn't the case, I think Aerith has still brought Zack to us anyway, because Aerith can show that she's guided Zack to the different timelines during the end. So I think it's completely possible that Aerith herself brought Zack back to our timeline. So I'm pretty sure that's what's happening with Zack. And I think this is how Zack's story is going to play out in part 3. I think he's not going to realize he's not in the world anymore. Maybe he can see the crack in the sky just like Cloud can. I think Zack can see, because Zack's been in that world. I think Zack can see the crack just like Cloud can. So to start with, we're going to think that he is back in his normal timeline. Then he's going to go and see Marlene and Elmira. And I think then, I wonder if they're not even going to know who he is. Marlene might remember, because she has some weird connection where she knows more what's going on because Aerith showed her. But I think Elmira is going to be like, what the hell, where's Aerith? You know, she's going to like meet Zack again, I think. And Zack's going to be like, wait, what? He's going to be really confused what just happened. And I think then he's also going to then see that Biggs is gone. And that the others are still alive. Maybe he'll see one of the wanted posters of the others still being alive. And then he'll know that he's back in our timeline. I think then Zack, not knowing where to go exactly, I think he's going to go back home. I think he's going to go to Gongaga and see his parents. And the reason why I say this is because of Cisne. Now, Cisne could see the whispers. Now, why else would Cisne be able to see the whispers? And the fact they even talk about it, like Red 13 talks about why Cisne can see the whispers, because that means she's involved with the thing, but we haven't seen that yet. I think Cisne's involvement with the world will be because of Zack. I think Zack's going to go home. And also, Cisne also said in when we meet her and we go off and do the side quest with her, she says that I feel like he's not really gone. I feel like I'm waiting for someone. She is waiting for that moment to meet again. Like, she's not giving up hope that he's gone. And I think we're going to get that reunion. I think Zack doesn't know where else to go. He's going to go back to Gongaga to see his parents. Again, to see them, because he was meant to see them in Crisis Core, but it was unsafe to do so. And I think Cisne is going to be the one to fill him in with everything that's going on. And she's going to tell Zack that Aerith's still alive, or like she saw Aerith, she saw Cloud, you know, everything that happened. And I think then Cisne is going to be the one to catch him up. That's what I think. Now, is Zack alive? I'm coming to a conclusion. Some people might not quite agree, but I don't know. This is a total theory. This is a total wild guess. I wonder if Zack, because we know there are some relations between Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy VII, but yet massive spoilers for 10. Huge, big warning spoilers for 10, just in case you haven't played 10. Please do not carry on listening or just skip this bit if you haven't played 10, because this is a big, mega spoiler. I wonder if Zack is in this world the same way that Tidus was in 10. And I won't say too much just because I don't want to accidentally spoil someone. But yeah, Tidus is in the world a certain way, right? He's not completely real, you know. And I wonder if Zack is the same, because we found that, because we know now Aerith is basically a summoner, like the same way Yuna is. Like, the connection between 7 and 10 is so strong in Rebirth, especially when it comes to Aerith and Yuna, and basically like the ancients. I'm pretty sure like they're going with the idea that Yuna was an ancient as well, right? And obviously summoners can summon things, and I think Aerith is summoning Zack in a way similar to Tidus. I think that's what's going to happen. Anyway, to continue, Zack is then going to go and try to find Cloud and that. Then we won't sort of catch up with him for a while. We'll just see him gradually meet up with the group. That's what I think is going on with Zack. And my level 10 theory is that Zack could be a Tidus. He might not be real. But there is a reason why Zack is alive and why Aerith has brought Zack here. And that reason I'll come back to when I talk about Cloud. So I'll talk about Cloud next. I don't actually have that much to say about Cloud. And we also have learned from the Ultimania as well. Obviously, we don't know the full thing yet because we're only getting snippets from people translating it. But the next game will 95% follow the main story, and then it will change, you know, it'll be exactly the same as the other two. We do the snowboarding, we're going to go to the Great Glacier, we're going to go to the Northern Cave, we're going to do all the things just like it happened, and the weapons are going to come out, everything's going to play out the same way, and then we're going to lose Cloud. It's all going to play out the same way, because that's what they said is going to happen. But I think that Tifa is in serious trouble for part 3, because Sephiroth is already trying to get rid of Tifa right now. Because he knows how important Tifa is for Cloud's recovery. So Sephiroth is trying to get rid of Cloud. That's why that whole thing happened with the reactor, and then he was hoping that Cloud would take care of her, but when she fell into the Mako, Sephiroth then tried to finish her. He was like desperate to get rid of Tifa because he knows full well that she's going to try to save him. And also, like, it's another thing that he can damage Cloud with mentally, right? He can damage Cloud more by taking out another one of his friends, his closest childhood friend. So Tifa, I think, is in trouble for part 3. I think she's going to be high risk. I think Sephiroth is going to do what he can to freaking stop Tifa. Oh, and by the way, I literally just found out today that the weapons that took Tifa, they're babies. Oh, how cute is that? I didn't even know. That didn't even cross my mind at all that they were babies. That's so cute. That means the size of them as babies, they are going to be freaking huge as fully grown weapons. My god, Ruby and Emerald are going to be like the size of a continent. So yeah, I think what's going to happen, I'm not sure when it's going to happen. Again, this whole thing is just my theory. This is what I'm coming up with in my head. And I will be linking things back to the OG as well. Don't worry. I do have some important little nuggets from the OG that's like trickles in to Rebirth, which is insane. But yeah, I think Sephiroth's going to find a way to stop Tifa getting to Cloud. Whether he separates her in the live stream, or just something happens and she just gets stuck and she can't get to Cloud. Or she is with Cloud, but her words can't reach him, which is what Sephiroth keeps saying to her, like, your words can't reach him. Something's going to happen, I think, where it messes up the thing of Tifa being able to help Cloud the way she did in the original. But this is where I think Zack is going to come in. I think Zack, whether he gets there remotely or he gets there in person, somehow I think it's going to line up that Zack's going to be there to help Cloud at that moment, to help him remember everything. I think Zack will be the one to help Cloud, and that's why Aerith brought him back, because Omni Aerith, which is what Maximilian likes to call her, God Aerith, I think she knows, because obviously she knows that Sephiroth was trying to change the plan with the white materia. He was trying to empty it so she can't use holy, and she, you know, he knows everything that happens. He knows Tifa brings Cloud's memory back, and I think obviously Aerith is like a chess game. Like, she's trying to get ahead of him each time to stop him doing it. So I think she knows that he's going to stop Tifa in some way being able to help Cloud. So she's bringing in Zack to help Cloud in that moment. I think Zack's going to help him bring his memories back. And I think that's when we're going to get the proper Zack and Cloud reunion, where they talk through what happened and everything that happened. And I really hope that Zack is like real enough in the real timeline to like actually have a proper reunion. I just want them to like freaking hug it out. I really do. Like, I want a proper bromance moment reunion. I really, really want that. So yeah, I think that could be the way they play it. And whether Zack stays around, right? So yeah, I'll kind of finish off where I think, I'm not sure what Zack's gonna be doing after that, but he is there for an important reason, and the only reason I can think of him being really important to be there for is for Cloud's memories. However the game plays out after that, I'm not sure, but what I would love to happen is that I do think that Zack might end up going back to the live stream. I don't think Zack is going to be fully alive. I think he is going to go back with Aerith. He's going to join Aerith in the live stream, because that's kind of how they end with Advent Children. So I think, but how cute would it be? I mean, I don't want Zack to go, obviously, but how cute would it be if Zack goes back to the live stream at the end of the game or something, and he gives Aerith one of the yellow flowers, because lovers used to give these when they were reunited. How cute would that be? That would be so adorable. Like Zack going back to Aerith and giving her a yellow flower. Oh, that might be just me like fan theorying here, but it's all fan theories, right? No one knows what's going to happen yet. Every theory that comes out is a fan theory, no matter how right or wrong it is. So that's just my little dream theory. Like, I hope that works out. That's how they're going to do it. So I think Zack is here in the same way that Tidus is here for Final Fantasy X. I don't think he's real. I think he's being created in a way just to get him through the story. I think that's where Zack's story is going to go. I'm trying to keep this as short as possible. I got so many theories. It's crazy, right? So, so all that there was completely my own thoughts. I haven't compared anything to do with Zack to anyone else. I haven't really seen anyone talk about Zack that much, to be honest. That's why I really want to talk about it, because I didn't see anyone else talk about it. So, and again with Cloud, there isn't much to say about Cloud because I think it's quite basic. I think Cloud's probably got the most simplest story in the sense. I do think he's going to be dark though. I think he's going to have that sort of Spider-Man moment of like, he's going to get influenced by the black materia. He's going to be dark. You know, they already showed he's quite dark in Rebirth. Like, he is going to go dark in part 3, I reckon. Yeah. I can't wait to see the whole Northern Cave scene with Cloud. That's going to be pretty shocking, and just seeing Tifa lose it, just collapse on the floor, and Cloud just completely losing it. I can't wait for that scene. That's going to be really cool. And Hojo going crazy. My god, Hojo makes me want to punch the guy. So with the whole Jenova theory and Cloud, like, is Cloud seeing real Aerith, fake Aerith, Jenova, illusion, whatever Aerith there is? The devs have come out and said that there's like, they did sort of quote the 3 sort of main theories. I do think, right, so I don't think the whole Aerith ending in Rebirth was Jenova. I'm not seeing that Jenova vibe from it. However, I do 100% believe that Sephiroth will be using this to his advantage and tormenting Cloud every moment he can. He'll be making him see Aerith in random places, or like he'll be just constantly talking to Cloud himself about how you couldn't save her, how you're weak, how you're nothing. He's going to be like, he is going to be breaking Cloud's psyche even more. He is, no matter which way they do it, like, Aerith will be used as a weapon against Cloud 100%. That's 100% going to happen. But I do think the Aerith we saw at the end was like our Aerith. But yeah, it's hard to say. But this is the point. I don't think we are meant to know. It could be a blend of all 3. But yeah, I do think 100% Sephiroth is going to take this to his advantage and really get into Cloud's head. I do have one more point just to say about Tifa just before I move on to the next one. I'll probably talk about Sephiroth next. One point about Tifa is her and Aerith talked a lot to each other in Rebirth. Aerith talked to Tifa about a lot of things, and Tifa talked to Aerith about a lot of things, and they know more. They knew more this time than they did in the original. Like, they talked about Cloud. Like, Tifa told Aerith that Cloud wasn't there, and you know, so I feel that, and Tifa has now been in the live stream. She's seen things. She's done the mind memory thing, which is also weird, right? Because some of the mind memories that she's seen in the live stream is what Cloud saw. So that means we're probably going to see something different for Cloud. They're probably going to bring in some new bits of information for Cloud, because they're not going to repeat the same thing. So that's going to be interesting to see what they do with that. But anyway, Tifa is a bit more knowing now than she was before. So I think Tifa is going to be a little bit more aware of what's going on. And like, I wonder if Sephiroth's also going to play with Tifa a little bit as well. Like, he's going to be also giving her some doubts. Yeah, it's going to be interesting what they do with Tifa. But I think Tifa is in for a rough ride. She is in danger. She is suffering. She's going to really struggle without Aerith. Like, poor Tifa, she's in for a rough ride. Alright then, Sephiroth. Now, Sephiroth has a huge amount. I found so much to do with Sephiroth. And Sephiroth, there's so many layers to Sephiroth, it's juicy. So, but there is a lot of things to do with the OG as well. So I think I might talk about the OG in a separate little section of this video. I'll say a few bits here, but I'll kind of bundle it together in a different part, because there is things in the OG that links to this game. It's making me think that the devs have like thought of this 30 years ago. Is crazy. 27 years ago, but you know, like, was this planted from the very beginning? It's crazy. So for Sephiroth's segment, I actually kind of look back at the OG, the remake as well, because he talks in riddles. But I'm starting to see like seeing things in the remake now, playing Rebirth, you have a bit more of a context around it. So with Sephiroth, he is basically, well, I think we all kind of know this at this point. He's like Advent Children Sephiroth going back, but even in the OG, he talks about it. So I'll put up a little thing here. So there are some hints that Sephiroth could have time traveled in the original. All the way back in the original, he had knowledge of everything. Honestly, even the OG Sephiroth knew everything, but he obviously did anticipate that he was going to fail. He was a bit egotistical back then, and he knew, like, he thought he was going to do it without a hitch, and he didn't. He underestimated Cloud and the gang, right? Then he's gone back to try to fix it. But he already time traveled back in the OG, and there's some interesting points. I actually found this through another creator, so let me credit him. I found this through Michael Bustati. Is that how you say it? Michael Bustati? I'll pop up his channel here. Yeah, go and check out his video. Do that after this though. Stay with me first, because I'll be quoting some other things, and you can go check out a whole bunch afterwards. But yeah, so he sort of found that Sephiroth and Temple of the Ancients, he's already talking as if he's Rebirth Sephiroth, even back then. So he quotes saying, at the center of the injury, the planet's injury he's referring to, all that boundless energy will be mine. By merging with all that energy, I will become a new life form, new existence, to be reborn a god. Reborn, rebirth, like, there's a connection to the freaking original. I can't believe that. Like, there's so many things. Like, I feel like the devs were like planting seeds from the original. It's kind of mad. He also says, knowledge of the ancients and those after, I will create the future. He's already talking about creating the future back in the original. Because why would he say that in the OG? Like, create the future. Like, I guess he's probably meant that he's gonna make it his own. But now in context of that he's literally saying that he will create the future back in the OG. And then Aerith says, I won't, the future isn't just yours to have, or something like that. It's actually kind of nuts how there's like little trinkets. And also like the whole clock room in the Temple of the Ancients, there is time traveling elements in that, and we do see that in the remake too, how there's like time travel elements in there. So Michael was theorizing that Sephiroth probably has traveled back in time, because obviously he's in the live stream, right? So Sephiroth is in the live stream in the OG, and right now he's in the live stream. His actual body's in the live stream, and he's in the live stream right now. So he's been able to not control the live stream, but he's been able to become one with it, travel with it, learn from it. So but even the OG Sephiroth would have done the same too. But I think the OG Sephiroth had done all the work, done all like the research, the work, being able to learn everything, being able to become godlike, to change the future, all that sort of thing. But he hadn't played out his timeline yet, so he didn't know he was going to be defeated by Cloud and the gang. So that's why he's resetting it. So really he can reset it multiple bloody times. So we need to actually stop him from doing that. So it's gonna be interesting to know how they're going to do that as well. How we're going to actually get rid of Sephiroth at the end to stop him being able to just repeat it over and over. The other thing to talk about with Sephiroth is the Protorelic, because Protorelic is a side quest. And it's interesting how it's a side quest. I think it's going to become more of an important thing in part 3. I think the Protorelic, because again, I've been looking back at Dirge of Cerberus and all that sort of thing, and of course Vincent can use the Dirge of Cerberus for chaos, and there's Omega, and you know, one is good, one is bad. and you can use the Protorelic for destruction. So I think, because all the Jenova copies are trying, the Jenova clones are trying to get hold of the Protorelic in the side mission in Nibelheim. And I'm thinking now that Sephiroth or Jenova, basically one of the same person, aren't they? I think that they are also after the powers of Chaos and Omega, because I think that's also going to play a part. So I think Vincent is also going to probably have a bigger role to play in part 3. And don't forget, Vincent wasn't with us when we were doing all the Protorelic quests before. He's not a party member yet. So Vincent doesn't know we've been looking for the Protorelics yet. In part 3, I think the whole Protorelic thing will have an added layer with Vincent. I mean, obviously the whole thing with Vincent didn't happen until Dirge of Cerberus. You know, like he didn't really do this whole Chaos and Omega thing until then. But I think, because I do know they're trying to link all the games together. I do think that, because they're trying to bring elements. I mean, we've got Weiss and Nero in like Integrate. Like, they're bringing things in now. So I think Chaos and Omega is going to happen in part 3 as well. I think there's going to be some element of that. And Vincent will get involved, because Vincent can like consume it. Like, he's the only one that can do it. So I think Vincent will have a bigger role with the Protorelics in part 3. I think that's where we're going. And don't forget the whole Protorelic thing. They gave us the insight for Chadley that he's one of 7... looks like children in the thing. Obviously the girl, I can always forget her bloody name. The girl who does the girl who does all the combat missions, she's one of the 7, right? And I think Shulk from Dirge of Cerberus, Shulk would be another child. I don't know who the other children are yet. I haven't really looked into it that much. I haven't had time to do digging on that part. Maybe I'll do more videos, but there's going to be some importance there with the other children. Shulk has got to be one of them. She's got to be one of them, right? So yeah, I think like Vincent's journey will also be important in part 3, because I think they'll try to move some of the Dirge of Cerberus things in earlier, so we can have that story with Vincent and Lucrezia and, you know, everything that happens there. And the fact that they are after the Protorelic tells me they're trying to get this Chaos and Omega storyline in. So I think that's where I think we're going to have an extra issue with that too. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. And especially if Sephiroth knows like his original plan doesn't work. Maybe he's also thinking of this backup with like the Protorelics. So that's also really interesting. Something again I didn't even think about at all during my playthrough, but it's only when I've gone back and I've been trying not to look at too many theory videos. I mean, obviously everyone knows Maximilian Dude's one about the Jenova one, that's kind of everywhere, but I've been trying not to look at too many other videos. I've only been looking at videos for research, for like looking at clips from previous games and just absorbing the knowledge from all the other games and just, you know, trying to piece things together a little bit. But yeah, that was interesting as well. So I do think, and we're going to get this whole deep ground section. I think obviously Wutai and deep ground are quite connected. I think we're going to get, I mean, Yuffie and Nero still needs to square off. We need to get that resolved. Obviously they are still meant to be there for Dirge of Cerberus, so maybe it won't be resolved fully, but I do think we need something there with that. Yeah, we need something there with that. Also, going on a bit of a deep dive. So one of my favorite Final Fantasy YouTubers is Final Fantasy Peasant. I don't know if many of you guys know him, but he does he's a bit like Sleep Easy, who does like crazy deep dive videos. And obviously I didn't want to get too sucked in on deep dives, but I just wanted to just check in on the Protorelic stuff. And then he did this whole video on Minerva, and again I think Sleep Easy did the same sort of video about how Minerva was the one who created, she could be one of the first ever ancients to create materia, usable energy, and all the weapons and all like the big monsters, they all have the materia in their body. But interestingly, looking back at like those clips, all the big weapons have red materia. In the original, they all have these big red materias, but in this one, the baby infant weapons, they all have green materia. So I don't know yet what that means, but I feel like that's important. Why is there red materia orbs, but now they're green? And also these weapons seem to be quite kind, right? These weapons are like helping Tifa, keeping Tifa safe from Sephiroth. So I wonder if we're going to have different versions of weapons. The ones with the red orbs will be like the bad weapons, and the one with the green orbs would be like the good weapons. Maybe that's going to be a thing. Again, I'm not sure where that's going with that, but it's just something I just came across it and I was thinking, wait a minute, if they've all got red orbs, why does this one have green orbs? So that's like an unanswered question. So I wonder if we're going to get some information on that on part 3. So with the whole timeline thing, Sephiroth, he does explain it in his little explanation part. He does say all these different worlds, you know, having anger, happiness, excitement, grief, like he actually wants the timeline. So when Aerith's death happens in this one, and you see like the time split, and it's like the good version, bad version, like she lives and she dies. I think like Sephiroth really wants the worlds to split in key moments, because from what I understand, from what he was literally telling us, is that one world isn't enough for him for power. One world with one set of emotions that play out isn't powerful enough for him. He needs multiple worlds that have every type of emotion differently in each world, because it's more powerful to have that than just one. So he needs the world to split a little bit. Like, so when we see Aerith die, we do see her live and die in one thing, and it's split in between, because I think that's what Sephiroth wants. Sephiroth needs that to happen because he needs the good emotion as well as the bad emotion. But obviously we're stuck in the bad emotion. Like, we are in the world we're meant to be in with Aerith dying, and I don't think that other world really exists now. I think the world where it splits, and there's like, it implies there's like a second timeline, but I think that timeline's only there for a fraction, just so Sephiroth can harness that emotion. I think that world doesn't exist very long. I think it's gone pretty quickly. But Sephiroth literally kind of breaks down. That's what I got listening to Sephiroth during those moments. What I understood was that he needed worlds where good and bad things happen. It couldn't be all bad. Good things had to happen too, because having the worlds with all these emotions make it more powerful. So he needs a world when both things happen. But then he does combine them together. Once he's happy that he's got enough there with all the emotions of the world, of all the different worlds, he then combines them together. And we do see him combining things together. Yeah, so I think that's what he implied by that. And I think that's why we do see that split, because Sephiroth does want that split to happen, even temporarily, just so he can harness those energies, those emotions for power. That's my interpretation of what happened there. But that world fizzled out very, like, almost instantaneously. But also, just for a little breather, I am obviously going to play The Devil in Me next for like a 3-4 episode series just for this week, and then I'm going to be doing my next big Final Fantasy game. There's an option on my community page to go and vote for which one. At the moment, 8 and 16 are neck and neck. I've given 3 options, so 9 is on there too, but at the moment 8 and 16 are like level pegging. So if you really want to see me play one or the other, please go and vote on the page, because as soon as Devil and Me is finished, I'll look at the poll. So I'll keep the poll running for the next like 5 days. So please vote, because after that, then I'm going to go with whatever everyone wants me to play. Okay, I've probably got more to say about Sephiroth, but I think I have covered most of the points. If there's something else, I'll pop in a point later. But let's move on to Aerith. And don't worry, I'm not going through every character. I'm not going to do Barret, Red 13 and all that. I'm just doing the key big characters that play a massive part in what's happening. So, Aerith. So, Aerith and Zack's thing about this whole dream world, this whole world that's like, I do think Zack might be like Tidus. I really think so, because in Remake, when Aerith is kidnapped and then she comes to visit us in the garden and she has this whole speech to Cloud not to fall in love with him, I rewatched that as well, and that Aerith is so obviously the god Aerith, right? The Omni Aerith. I don't think she's the Aerith that's just been kidnapped and she's like transporting her thoughts to Cloud. I think that is the future Aerith just turning up. And because he says, is this a dream? And she says something like it could be, or something like that. And that's exactly what he says in this one. She's like, let's call it a dream. So I feel like, but a dream, right? A dream world. Like, she's talking about dreams. So I'm getting like, it gets me riled up. So like, when like he wakes up at the end of this game and they go on like a little date together. I know it's not really a date, but you know, that whole thing, she calls it a dream world, and she's been hiding in a dream world. But everyone in the dream world are real, and they all think that they're real, and they all exist somewhere in a dream world, right? And then Aerith pops into our world in Remake to warn Cloud not to fall in love with him, but she looks real. She looks real in this world, even if Cloud's just seeing it. But like, he looks real in this world. She looks real. I do think Zack, I think that's what's happening with Zack. Honestly, I honestly think they're going to do this whole Tidus style story with Zack for part 3, and he's actually as part of the dream world that's being summoned to our world. So also this whole follow the yellow flowers thing, and this has come up again and again and again in the story. We still don't really fully know what's happened yet, and there's a reason for that. Obviously she got Zack to follow the yellow flowers in the dream world. I'm calling it a dream world now. In the other world, to like get him to go to Cloud's, to find Cloud in the split dimensions. Aerith says in the garden scene in Remake, the flowers are trying to tell me something. The flowers have something important to tell us. But one final step must be taken first. And then she obviously internalizes that because she knows what that means. She knows she has to go first. She has to pass to then find out what the flowers are trying to tell her. So all the way up to this point, Aerith doesn't know. Even with some extra knowledge, she doesn't know what the flowers are trying to say, because the flowers, she can't hear what the flowers are saying until after that. So the flowers also have some important thing that we don't really know fully yet what the significance of the flowers are, but it does keep popping back again and again and again. Follow them, the yellow flowers. We haven't really followed any yellow flowers yet. Zack did when he was being transported over, but I think the flowers will have a bigger meaning for part 3, and maybe when Cloud's in the little mind palace in the when Cloud's in the mind palace, I think the yellow flowers might help guide him there as well a little bit. Follow the yellow flowers, I think, because we saw that with Zack, so I think we're going to get that with Cloud. Also, another link to the original, there is a massive crack in the OG. Like, in the OG mind palace that Cloud is in, there is a crack in the reality, just like the dream world. Like, they are linking things all the way back from the original, which I'm just absolutely blown away with. Obviously we didn't get context for anything back then, for like everything was left to interpretation, but like the cracks in the sky are the same as what was in Cloud's like mind palacey part, so that's also interesting. So the crack is always in Cloud's mind or something. I don't know, it's freaking, these connections are just blowing me away. So also, I don't think God Aerith, Omni Aerith, knows fully what Omni Sephiroth is really trying to do, because in the Temple of the Ancients, I think she's still trying to figure out again, it's like a chess move. He plays one piece, she tries to better him, and she doesn't really know the full picture yet. She's trying to she's trying to stop him before he does something. But in the Temple of the Ancients, the Aerith, like the Omni Aerith, almost talks through our Aerith, when she's asking Sephiroth, like, why are you doing this and that? Like, she doesn't actually know yet. So that tells us she doesn't really know yet. She's asking him why, and he's like explaining it. And you can hear two voices at that moment. You can hear her speaking, and then the other Aerith speaking too. So that also tells me, like, she's not fully aware of what his plans are. She only knows that she has to stop him, and she's got to try to get one move ahead of him. But I don't think she really knows the entirety of what Sephiroth's thinking just yet. So that's also interesting. So it is like an ongoing battle that we don't see, because she's trying to play catch up, but also trying to, like, one better than him each time. Yeah, so that's just like a little interesting note I wanted to add in. Yeah, the other thing with the garden scene as well in Remake was that it almost sounded like another goodbye. It was, listening to it again now, she's talking in the same context as what the Aerith in the church was. She's grateful for all the memories she has with him and happy for those moments, the happiest time in my life kind of thing. So that's another way she's saying goodbye to Cloud in that moment. Yes, I do think that Aerith in the garden is the same Aerith from the church, or the Omni Aerith. It's the same one communicating all the way back to the remake. I think in this one, when she dies and then she puts her hand up to Cloud and she's like, you know, it will be all right. I think that moment, she's just comforting him, because I think because all the live stream energy is circling her at that point, and like the live stream particles are coming up literally around her body. Similar again to Final Fantasy X, when like the Purifiers are coming out. I think that whole thing, it's just her comforting him, whether it's in his mind or just spiritually. I think that's just her saying to him, it's going to be all right, because she knows how fragile his mind is, and she knows that, like, she's trying to do her best to try to keep him going. But obviously that's made him really confused. Like, you know, he still thinks that she's alive, but I think that's just her, like, final word to him before she went. I think that's what that moment was. So that probably did happen, but just to him, if that makes sense. But I was trying to piece together, like, timelines a little bit. So we'll go on to Jenova now, because that's Jenova and the Gi. I'm going to kind of combine them into one, because there's some interesting points there. I saw a video that absolutely blew my mind, and I am going to be referencing his video in this segment. So I've obviously mentioned a few people I've looked at, but I haven't looked into depth. This is the only creator I properly looked into depth for, because I was like blown away by this video. And this one is from Final Fantasy Vii, and he did this whole video. Go and see it after this. Please carry on and watch me till the end. I'm almost there, I promise. But go and watch Final Fantasy Vii after this about the Gi, and I cannot believe this connection. How did I not see this before? And he goes into sort of depth about it. The Gi could have summoned Jenova, because of how the timelines work a little bit with the whole Cetra. Also, the Gi, like Gi Natak's voice, is in the 2015 trailer. I'll just play a little bit now.
Silence. Yet with each fond remembrance, we knew those encountered were not forgotten.
You're kidding me, right? His voice was in the 2015 trailer, and I didn't even clock it. I even watched that trailer before Rebirth, because I was sort of theory crafting a little bit before Rebirth came out to see if I could figure out what was going to happen. And I watched that trailer like 10 times, and I still did not connect his voice to Gi Natak until I watched that video, and I was like, what? And that changes everything, because everything he says in that trailer had this been a long, calm, another connection to Final Fantasy X, by the way. And that's something that Final Fantasy Vii didn't pick up on, that, because so his whole video was about Jenova's story, how the Cetra obviously couldn't actually destroy Jenova. They just kept her contained, and then she slept. And like they say in the trailer, after the long calm, and there's this like repeated thing about the calm. Well, the calm is what happens in Final Fantasy X as well. Obviously not to do with sin. Jenova's a separate entity, but the calm is still a direct parallel to 10, which is kind of cool. Gi Natak is talking in that trailer of his perception. It's not even like, to us watching the trailer when it first came out, we were thinking about them, or they're talking about like the characters, they're talking about Cloud and Barrett and they're returning, but really Guy Natak is talking in his experience what happened, how there was a meteor in the sky, you know, after a long calm they will reunite again. But why is he saying they? He surely can't be talking about Sephiroth and Jenova, because Sephiroth wasn't here 2,000 years ago. Unless he was, because maybe he time traveled through the live stream. But whatever happens, whether it was Jenova, whether it's Sephiroth or something else, but there must have been something else with Jenova, right? Because they said that they will return. They're returning. Or who is they? We know Jenova is one entity. They implies more than one person, or more than one thing. So who is the other thing? Unless it is Sephiroth, because Sephiroth did say he traveled through time to collect the knowledge of the ancients and the people after the ancients too. Yeah, but that was interesting. So that whole trailer has a whole different meaning to me now, which I'm completely blown away with. Well done, Final Fantasy Vii. That's probably my favourite video I've seen to this point. So I will be referencing it a little bit in this segment, but honestly, that video is great. So what Final Fantasy Vii was trying to sort of say was that because the Guy talks about making the black materia, summoning the destroyer of worlds, well, what else is the destroyer of worlds? It's Jenova. So, but Jenova and Meteor were there 2,000 years ago, so maybe Jenova came with Meteor or something like that. I don't know. Maybe Jenova was on Meteor. Do you know what I mean? Like, it could be something like that. There's some... Jenova and Meteor are definitely connected together, so I feel like they could have, basically the Guy could have been the one to summon Jenova here. So that's what Final Fantasy Vii was sort of going over in his video, and that made a lot of sense. However, so looking at his video has made me think of a few extra points of my own. So I was sort of thinking about this really long and hard yesterday. How did the Guy get here? And how did Jenova get here? Jenova could have been summoned by the Guy to come here. Or Jenova just travels world to world. But how did the Guy get here? The Guy got here for some reason. Did the Guy come with Jenova? That's what I'm starting to think now. Because, think about it. Jenova's face is a very, like, skull face. Like, Jenova's face is like a skeleton, and it's scary and alien-like, and it's freaky as hell. The Guy wears masks that are like bones. I was looking at the Guy, I was going over these clips, and I was like, the Guy kind of have that look to them, a very Jenova look to them. And if you look at the Guy's like land, it's all like red. Obviously the black materia has like red and black, but there are also hints of like purple in there too, like little hints of like pinks underlying, and they got red eyes, and it's very like, they do give me like Jenova vibes looking at them. So just to like expand on his video, I am starting to think like maybe they came together. Maybe the Guy and Jenova are like together, or they came together. I don't know. And also, like, Jenova couldn't die, right? Jenova couldn't die. They couldn't get rid of Jenova. She just had to sleep. But what are the Guy doing right now? The Guy can't go either. They're stuck in like this land, almost like a dream, like a sleep, and they can't move. But Jenova has a way to reinvent herself by getting all the cells to come together. But she wants the cells to bring her the black materia. But it's like, but that's what the Guy wants too. Do you know what I mean? And then also when you're at Cosmo Canyon, it's Sephiroth. Sephiroth is telling you to go to the Guy. So Jenova wants you to go, because obviously Jenova is like pretending to be Sephiroth. So Jenova or Sephiroth, whoever, is telling Cloud to like follow them into the Guy's lair, like into the Guy's land. So it's making me think like, why would, I mean, I guess because they, like, they learn about the black materia, and Sephiroth needs the black materia. They need Cloud to go and get the black materia. But at the same time, I'm like, but maybe they're working together. I'm starting to think, like, how did the Gi get here? They must have come around the same time as Jenova, a couple thousand years ago. They must have been here at the same time. I wonder if they're together, and just the fact, like, their facial things are quite similar. Like, the Gi... Wouldn't it be... no, I'm not even going to say it. I didn't want to say this theory, because it might be a bit of a level 10 theory that I'll get roasted for. But, I don't know. Maybe because, like, Jenova's, like, a female type thing, right? And Gi Natak's, like, a male. What if they're, like, a thing? Could they be, like, a relationship? Is that just a bit too far-fetched? I don't know. But yeah, it's just weird how, like, the Gi has those like skeletal look to them, and then, like, the Jenova, like, when you see, like, the Jenova Lifebringer and the Dream and the Life Clinger and the Dreamweaver, they have this very skeleton look, and they're very, like, there's reds and purples in there, just like the Gi. So I don't know, I just get Jenova vibes when we were with the Gi. So it did get me thinking. And they're obviously expanding the Gi story for a reason, right? So wouldn't it be so crazy if the Gi and Jenova actually had a connection together? I feel like that's all my that's my theory on the main characters. I think Vincent, I think obviously we'll get Rocket Town with Sid and all that as well. So yeah, was there any other major important things to talk about? But I do know the Ultimania has come out in Japan, and there's been a few translations. Obviously, they can't say word for word what's said, but we're getting little trickles of things now, so that's good to know. We're getting nothing like crazy has come out yet, but you know, so I'm keeping an eye on that right now. And then obviously there's a big thing about translation. Oh, I saw another video. I can't remember the creator. I didn't actually write it down, but I'll put a note in the comments. I was watching this guy the other day, and his wife's Japanese, and they were talking about how they were playing Rebirth, and they noticed, like, things were said very differently in Rebirth to what is said in the like English language version. The translations are different, and like when Aerith is in the church with Cloud, and she was like, oh, you know, there's like and there's like. That whole segment, it's kind of said a bit differently in the Japanese version, and it's almost implied, because obviously they have like different ways of, like, the words have a different meaning to how we perceive our meaning, kind of thing. So they were saying how in their experience of listening to it was that, like, she was kind of he was kind of implying to her it was almost in like a friendship way, or not a friendship way, but like in the group, like she was sort of implying, talking about the group and not just him. And there's like little subtleties like that. You'll have to watch their actual video, because I don't want to say the wrong thing and then get like ripped apart for it. But I'll leave a link to his video in the description too, because that one was a really good video to check out, because he does talk about the translation differences and how, like, when they go back to the main world after the dream world section, and he's got the white materia now because Aerith gave it to him. He says that's very poor form. That doesn't belong here. Very poor form. But in the Japanese version, he basically says, I'll have to punish you for that. So it's a whole different meaning. That's a darker take. That's literally saying, I'm going to punish you. And then obviously what happens afterwards is like a punishment. So I want to know more about the translation, because I do feel like listening to the Japanese translation, there'll be a whole different meaning to things that in the context that we have. And I feel like there's going to be a lot more, like, you could probably understand a bit more meanings behind things if it's said in a different way or implied in a different way, you know. And there's like, he said that there's other subtleties, like the way, you know, Cloud says like, let's go, and it could be a different emotion behind it in the Japanese one, because it's said in a different way, you know, just things like that. It's just like, I actually want to do a bit more research into the translation differences, because I feel like there's quite a few in the translation differences that can like make the context more clearer, or, you know, especially when it comes to like relationships and what's going on. I feel like there could be some hidden things in the translation that's just completely lost on us. So I do want to find out more information about that. Another interesting point I want to add in is Red 13 does have Jenova cells, I believe. I don't think it's directly... I can't actually remember if it's directly talked about in the original. But I believe Red 13 does have Jenova cells. I'm pretty sure he does. So if he does, Sephiroth could be messing with his head too in part 3. So I don't know, maybe they won't go anywhere with it because they haven't really talked about it like that in this one. Maybe they won't really explore that, but there's an option there for some exploration in part 3. Will we see Genesis? Now Genesis hasn't been the Nero and Vice thing has been brought up. We haven't had, but we know the Angel and the Genesis thing and Crisis Core. They wouldn't have remade Crisis Core for everyone to play if that wasn't going to come in at some point. So I think we are going to see Genesis referenced in part 3, whether it would be a side quest or something, I don't know, but I think Genesis is going to be in there. Maybe when, like I said at the beginning, I think Zack will end up going to Cloud to help him with his memory. I think maybe Zack will then tell Cloud, no, that's not what happened because Genesis was there. When I was there, Genesis was there. You know, I think maybe Zack will tell Cloud that and we'll get... But I think there is definitely a Genesis element to this, 100%, but we just haven't seen it yet. But I think it's coming. Even if it's just a small segment, I think Genesis will pop up at some point in part 3. Now the whole Rufus thing is interesting because Sephiroth wasn't toying with Rufus in the original, but this time he is, and Rufus can see the whispers too, which also makes him important for the change of the world. So this Rufus is smart. He's smarter than the original. This Rufus has worked out his whole plan. Like, Rufus has worked out Sephiroth is toying with him and that he's just using him like a pawn. Like Rufus has worked out he's being puppeted, but he's like too smart for that. He's not allowing it to happen. So with this new context, maybe Rufus will end up helping us in part 3, because I know they want to drag in some of the Advent Children elements into this, and Rufus is kind of like a semi-good guy. Well, he's like, you know, he's a little bit better in Advent Children. You know, I wonder if he's going to end up trying to help us. So I think this Rufus is pretty smart, and I think he's probably going to figure out quite quickly what's going on. And again, please go and check out Final Fantasy Peasants channel, because he also talks about, he's got a really good detailed hour-and-a-half long video just on Rufus. And there's some interesting things there about, I won't go into too much details here because again it's just theory, but like Rufus could actually be part ancient, or like he could have Jenova cells in him too, and that's why he's also drawn to finding Sephiroth, you know, whatever the reason is. But Rufus definitely has a bigger part to play, 100%. Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing the weapons. I'm looking forward to seeing Rocket Town. I believe we are getting Rocket Town in part 3. I don't think they're going to bother with DLCs. They just want to get straight onto the game. I do think 2027 release. I've been saying 2027 release for a good few videos now. Like, I think all the way back in my chapter 8. I think back in my chapter 8 Gold Saucer video, I was talking about a 2027 release then. You know, if you think about it, they've got a lot of the world planned out. They've obviously got to map out the new world, and they got to work out the high wind and everything. I think that's like the biggest challenge now, but they're probably already on it. I don't think they're that behind, to be honest. And I remember reading like a good few months ago that they were starting to work on part 3 the same time. Like, while they were finishing up part 2, they started working on part 3. So I know like part 3 has been in the works before part 2 even released. So I think 2027 launch, and I think early, because it seems to be February, March time that they're releasing. I do honestly think like an early 2027 release, like a February 2027 release, is extremely probable, possible. I think that's where we're going. So I'm excited because I don't want to wait 4 years for the next part. So that's absolutely fine with me. I think we will be getting all the other stuff, like the mini games and stuff. Yeah, that's why I don't want to talk too much about the whole world at the beginning of the game. I don't want to do like a full review of like, this part's great, this part's great. I mean, we all know the music is just like the best music in the world, and I think we already know all like the things we need to know. But Yes, I'm working on the platinum right now, and my god, it's the hardest freaking platinum. Okay, not the hardest, but it's up there with one of the hardest I've ever done. I'm one away. All I need to do is finish Chadley's brutal and legendary battles. That's all I've got left to do to get the platinum. The mini games, I've never wanted to rage quit so much in my life, especially that goddamn chocobo one. That chocobo one was the worst one ever. And I swear, no one play tested it on hard mode. I swear, like, there's no way everyone tested all those mini games on the hardest mode. Because on one of the ones, like, I think it was a level 3 chocobo one, there is no way you could get enough lift to reach the end. And I then looked up a cheat for it where you go back and get lift again so you can actually reach it. But like, I don't think you're meant to actually be doing that. I don't think you're actually meant to go back to get more lift to go over. I think like that's just what people have figured out to try to get it, because you can't actually get lift. Like, I tried so many times to get, yeah. Basically, I don't think anyone actually tested that level, because there's no way you could actually get lift to reach the end without sort of cheating your way to do it. Oh, what a nightmare. In the friggin' the battle simulator, like the boxing one, and trying to beat Sephiroth was like a nightmare. I had to use like the pause technique where you pause it between each move so you can, like, you know, try to win it that way. Oh, just everything about the hard missions. And do you know what? I think the hardest one for me was the freaking frog one. The frog one was like the last one. So how I did all the mini games was that, like, each day I just tried one. Okay, I tried it a few times, and then as soon as I got frustrated, I stopped, went away from it, go back the next day, or go back a few hours later, try again. Like, as soon as you get frustrated, you're never going to get it. But the frog one was still going. Like, I had finished all the other mini games. The frog one was the last one left, because I don't know why that frog one was just so hard to me. I don't know why that was so hard. It's so easy, you just jump over the freaking things. But for some reason, I just couldn't do it. But yeah, I do want to do like a separate little mini video actually about the piano segments, because I think I've found some good ways to do the piano ones now, and I know a lot of people are struggling on the piano ones, and some of the guides you see, like, from other people, they kind of just, you know, they're just sort of saying, oh, just keep practicing, or just keep doing it. Like, they're not very helpful. Like, I found some tips that actually help me so much with the piano section. So I'm going to do like a little mini how-to guide for the piano ones, just in case anyone's struggling on those. Anyway, yeah, landscape, music, characters, story, everything was just perfect. I'm so much more happier with this one than I was with Remake. There was some problems with Remake. I loved Remake for the nostalgia. Like being able to step into the Final Fantasy world in the modern age was just so nostalgic. I was taken back with how much, like, it moved me. I would say Rebirth didn't move me as much. However, I'm more impressed with it. Like, Rebirth was so much better than Remake, just because you could explore more things. They took all the feedback from Remake and put it into Rebirth, which is just so good. I'm so happy when a game developer takes on the feedback from the people playing it, and like the fans and people reviewing it. I feel like it means they actually care, and I think when they care, it makes you care a lot more too. So well done, devs. I think you've done an amazing job with this, and I'm so looking forward to seeing what you guys do with part 3. I'm sure the theory crafting will go on for ages, and just remember, guys, theories are fun. I mean, I'm not bothered with feedback. It goes in one ear out the other with me, but I know like a lot of people are getting some hate with the theories, and I'll probably get some hate for this one, but oh well, whatever. Each to their own. You have your opinions, I have mine, and that's the way I live, so it doesn't faze me at all. But I feel like everyone gets so personal, and so like everyone takes it to heart so much, and I get it. It's because everyone loves the franchise so much. This game means so much to so many people. It means so much to me. It means so much to you. And sometimes in different ways. How it means so much to me is different to you because of our own personal experiences and that. So, you know, and you're going to have theories, and I'm going to have theories, and Maximilian Dude's going to have theories, but it doesn't mean any theory's wrong, because we don't even know what they're doing yet. There's so much we don't know, and that's the point, and that's what they want us to do, right? They want us to not know, so we can talk about it, and we can argue about it, and we can get angry about it, and, you know, we can get hopeful about it. It's what they want us to do. It's exactly what they want us to do, so... But yeah, just be kind to everyone. Like, there's no point getting mad about it. Like, life is just too short for this. Like, life is just too short to be angry at everyone. So, you know, guys, it's just a theory. A game theory. And I'm sorry. It's true though, right? It's just a theory. Anyway, I had to get out there just because, like, not so much for me because I don't care, but I feel like just for other people, I know, like, some people are a bit scared to give their opinions because they're worried about the backlash. So anyway, we got through it. That was a long episode. I know it's going to be a bit long, but I know some people like the longer podcasty videos, so I don't mind. I mean, I had so much to talk about. I mean, I could have probably talked about even more. These are just scribblings that I've scribbled down. So yeah, maybe nearer the time of the next game, I'll do another little theory review thing, see if I've thought of anything else in that time. I'm happy to do more Final Fantasy VII videos. Final Fantasy VII is like one of my favorite games of all time, so I'm more than happy to talk about it again and again and again. But I will do like a little video for the piano segment and any other things people might be stuck on. If you guys, because I said I'm close to the platinum now, I've done all the mini games, I've done everything. It's just the Chadley battles which are driving me insane. I don't know why it's so hard. Even the hard mode was hard. Like, hard mode in remake was hard. This is like extreme. Like, and I swear no one play tested the hard mode. Like, it's got like, it's just ridiculous. For some reason, Rufus I found the hardest out of everyone. The Rufus boss fight got me every bloody time. I don't know why it was so hard to do Rufus, but it was. I found Rufus harder than Sephiroth, especially in hard mode. Anyway, yeah, so I might do a couple of extra Final Fantasy videos, especially about like the piano or any other side thingies. So if you guys want to see any tips, videos of any of like the side missions, any of the, you know, anything you want to see, let me know, because I'm more than happy to make videos on that. I definitely will do a piano one. I will be moving on to the next like mini game now, which is The Devil in Me. I will be moving on to that now, just for like a little break from a small game, also I can get that filmed quite quickly for you guys, and I'm gonna, just so I can let the poll run for a few more days. So if you are here, then please make sure you go and vote for the poll, because Final Fantasy 8 and 16 are neck and neck right now, and I do want to have like a good clear win either way, just so everyone can be happy. That's what we're going to go with. I am planning on playing both, so don't worry, I'm going to play one and then the other. It just depends which one gets voted first. It's the one I'm playing first, and I'll play the other one after, because I do want to play both. I haven't played 8 yet. I haven't played both of them. I want to play both of them. So yeah, it's just a matter of which one do I play first. So please go and cast your votes on my community tab. That would be amazing. And also subscribe if you're still here. Well done. Pat yourself on the back. You made it to the end of my rambling. I know I can be a bit of a rambler, so I'm sorry about that. I tried to like pace myself in a way. I had some sort of guide. Normally I just go off on a tangent like I am right now, but normally I try my best to try to sort this out into a kind of like, you know, readable segment. So, but yeah, if you have made it to the end, thank you so much for your support. It means so much to me. I am trying to hit my monetization goals. I need 4,000 hours watch time and 1,000 subscribers, so I'm on my way there now, but any help from you guys, it would be amazing. It's a dream of mine. It's been the dream of mine for like the last 5 years, to be honest, to actually get somewhere with YouTube, and I can only do it with your help. So any help you can show me, I will be so eternally grateful for. So do make sure you go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on the bell notifications so you can be informed when the next video is up. So if you guys have enjoyed this video, do give this a thumbs up, because at least that gives me an idea how many people liked it and how many people might want to see future videos like this. You know, because I know it takes time to write a comment sometimes, but even just a like, that would just help me out loads. Thank you all for watching. Take care, stay safe, and until next time, bye.